Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adair Live. We'll be hosting these every week, featuring different experts from the home building industry to help you better understand the ins and outs of building your dream home on your land. My name is Gabby Gately, and I'm part of the marketing team here at Adair. My co-host today is Morgan Roskam. Morgan is our interior design and product specialist and has just a wealth of knowledge in design products and finishes. So we're very happy to have you here today, Morgan. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Sun's coming out.
I know. So exciting. So today we're going to be talking about kind of choosing the right paint colors for your home. So we'll be monitoring the chat. So just let us know where you're watching from. Tell us maybe where you're building or even thinking about building, and mention maybe what part of the home building process you're in, and whatever stage you're in, we want to hear from you. We would also love to answer any questions you have about the home building process, or even choosing the right paint color for your home. So put those questions in the chat at any time and we will get rolling. So kind of to start off, picking just paint colors in general can seem kind of overwhelming. So maybe how would a home builder go about maybe picking a color scheme, or should maybe I go to like a store or look online?
Yeah, so assuming a lot of our audience is going to be building a home with Adair, Adair has an actual paint program with a bunch of paint schemes that you can choose from. So we use Sherwin-Williams as our paint vendor, and we created paint schemes kind of based on what's trending, top selling colors in the industry, and we've put together those paint schemes that, basically some foolproof colors and schemes that, if you have a modern home, if you have a farm home, anyone can find a scheme that's going to fit the style of home that they're looking for. So we have paint guide booklets where you can see the paper paint swatches next to each other. You can see what the color combinations look like. As far as going into the store for actual samples, you can definitely go to a Sherwin-Williams store and get some physical samples, which is definitely recommended when we're talking about paint. I also want to plug an exciting update for us at Adair that the marketing team is working on. We're going to start using a digital rendering tool. And in this rendering tool, you can see what an Adair home plan looks like. And there are different product finishes that you can select, and paint finishes, paint schemes that you can choose from, and it'll be rendered into this home plan. So you can see what everything would look like together. I think that'll be really helpful in picking colors. And then, of course, you always have your resources like your homeownership counselor, and then myself as the designer, if you still want some additional support in picking colors.
Awesome. Wow, those are great resources for our home builders to pick from. And then what if someone was in between, maybe choosing kind of more neutral colors or brighter colors? Do you have maybe an opinion, or on what would be like the easiest to maybe decorate and choose kind of my products I want to put in my house around?
Yeah. So in referring to the Adair paint program, we do the whole interior in one color, and that really gives you a great canvas to work with. And you can choose between a few shades of grays and whites to complement either cooler or warmer finishes, whatever you prefer. Like I said, it's really a great canvas to start you off with, and then you're able to add color in your furniture, in your accessories, and even add accent walls later if you want to bring in more colors in specific rooms.
Awesome. Would you have maybe an idea of maybe what colors make a room look bigger? I know a lot of homeowners might want to at least kind of make their rooms look bigger. Are there kind of colors that help with that?
Yeah, so generally, as a rule of thumb, lighter colors are going to make a room feel larger, airier, and darker colors, not in a bad way, but can make a room feel more intimate and cozy. And sometimes that's the effect that you want to create in a room. For example, my own kitchen and living room have very light walls for just a clean and open feeling. And then my bedrooms, I tend to prefer a darker color, sometimes even the ceilings, to just make it a more cozy, intimate feel in the bedroom. But it's really kind of a personal preference as far as going lighter, going darker in certain rooms.
Yeah. And then kind of going off of that, what colors maybe make a room feel more like cozy or calming?
Yeah. So kind of like I said about darker colors, for me, that makes me feel more cozy. But color elicits different feelings in everyone. So for some people, they might feel more cozy in a space that feels bright and clean, with lighter colors. And um, generally, though, when we're talking about colors, kind of eliciting those feelings, muted colors do tend to be more calming, where bright, vivid colors are generally more energizing. So maybe in your office you want to have an accent wall with a color that's a little bit brighter to give you energy while you're working or something. So yeah, that's what I would say about color, and just making a room feel a certain way.
Yeah. Um, and then maybe more specifically for like moldings and doorways, maybe should they be painted a different color or should they be kept the same color as like your walls?
That's a great question, and there's not really a right or wrong answer to that. But uh, the reason that trim baseboards are typically a different color is because it really highlights a decorative element in your trim. And typically, people prefer these to be white throughout the home, and that is what the Adair program offers. But there's no rules against having it the same color. I actually, in my own bedroom, just painted the ceiling and the trim all the same color as the walls. And I did that as a personal preference to actually kind of have those blend in rather than highlight them. So really, you can go either way, but people typically tend to highlight them using a white or just a different color than the walls.
Perfect. And then I know at least kind of this year, bold colors are starting to make a comeback. I think we just had a blog post about these bold colors and kind of the colors of the year. And I know the color of the year from Pantone is the like a bright magenta. I guess if I didn't want to go bold, what colors maybe would you recommend starting with?
Yeah. So, as I said before, color does elicit emotion, and design is really an individual preference as far as what colors really, people are drawn to or make them feel a certain thing. And so I won't give you like specific colors that I would say you should go with, but as we're coming out of the years where, you know, homes were just all gray and white, and there's still beautiful. Not saying white or gray is bad. Like I have my whole kitchen is white, but what I'm saying is that people are enjoying bringing color back into their home. We're seeing that more, like these colors of the year and colors that are starting to make a comeback. And I would say if you do want to experiment with some of these colors, a great way to do it with a little less risk is to bring those colors in kind of the accessories, things that can be changed if you start to tire of them. So your throw blankets, your pillows, your art, your rugs, bring it in those ways. And then if you do have a favorite color that you want to paint your room, what I always do is I go online, go to Pinterest or Instagram, whatever, you like to browse on, and find, you can usually search if you want to, let's say you want to paint a room purple, go on Pinterest and search and see if you can find a purple room that somebody did in a way that you like. because maybe you see it in large scale in a picture and it doesn't look the way you imagined it in your mind, or maybe you find someone that did it really well and they can be the inspiration for what you want to do in your own home. So definitely find an example picture. And then one other tip I would say, um, when you are choosing colors and bringing those more brighter colors into your home, or vivid colors, I would say go for lighter and more muted than you would think. So when you're looking at paper swatches in the paint store, when you go and paint them on the wall, they're going to look a lot more vivid and even darker than the paper swatch is going to look. So that's kind of a tip for, again, if you're trying to paint your room purple, find something that is a muted purple, a little bit lighter in the paper swatch, and typically on the wall, it's gonna work better for you that way.
Awesome. And then I know with a lot of, at least kind of like paint colors, there's so many to choose from, and they have all different kinds of undertones. Would you maybe kind of explain what undertones are and kind of how they have an impact on what the color looks like?
Yeah. So if you think about colors and how they're created, you're often mixing many colors together. And so the undertone is going to appear through the proportion of the color used. So you often hear the phrase warm undertones or cool undertones. The warm undertones are going to be colors that have more of a yellow or a beige or a pink to them. And then a cool undertone is going to have some more of the blue, purple, green hues. So this is really helpful when you are choosing a wall color to go with your finishes. If you have finishes, like warm grays that you're selecting, you might choose a warmer white or gray for your walls. So if you can kind of stick with undertones that match the other undertones.
And then kind of going off of like the white that you mentioned, white's it's always like an easy kind of neutral color to go with. Is there like a certain undertone for a white that would look better in some homes or kind of flow nicely?
Yeah. So again, for those that are currently building with us, the Adair paint program is going to make it easy because for our interiors, we have already kind of provided options that are going to be pretty neutral in undertones. So, if you are choosing colors on your own, there's so many different options for whites and grays. And, if they have certain undertones, it can create some unwanted effects. For example, if you have a gray with very cool undertones, there could be different lights where it almost looks blue or purple if a certain type of light is shining on it. And if you select maybe a white with very warm undertones, it can almost look pink in certain lights. So yeah, that definitely, those undertones play a part. But yeah, if you are choosing from the Adair paint program, we're going to make that easier for you. It's neutral white, so you don't have to worry about any weird undertones or anything. So
Perfect. And then how would you maybe recommend swatching colors on a wall? Should I swatch them on one wall or all of them, or what's like the best option?
yeah, so I always do all four walls. And that's because in the actual space that the paint is going to go in. And that applies to the exterior too. So I'll do it on all four sides of the home. And that's because the natural light and artificial light sources play a huge part in how those colors look in a space. Every single wall is going to, if we're talking interiors, every single wall is going to look different depending on where that light hits. You think about, the wall that's on the same wall as the window is typically going to look the darkest because it doesn't have any direct light shining on it. Whereas the wall opposite the window, the color is going to look the lightest and the most vivid because it has that direct light shining on it. And then again, different artificial lights in a home, the ceiling lights and any lamps you have, it's going to reflect differently on the walls. So yeah, definitely all four walls, and do it in the actual space so you can see what it looks like when the light hits it.
Awesome, perfect. And then I know, at least from a lot of pictures I look at from our homes, the kids' rooms or extra like bonus bedrooms are always painted in like fun colors. I've seen some people maybe not worried, but like wanting to know if there's like a great color that can be a good transition kind of maybe throughout the different stages of a child growing up, or just for an extra bonus room to have.
That's a great question. I would say have fun with this. Kids really love color, and it's a room that you can kind of have fun with. And if your kid's old enough, you could almost let them have a say. It's their space, and something that, again, I'll go back to, colors, something that elicits something from everyone. And so if it's their space, if maybe let them have a say in what that color could be. And then a tip, so it doesn't look obnoxious or tacky, is find a muted version of the color so it doesn't feel too overwhelming. So, if we're talking a little girl's room, you could go for kind of a light, dusty rose color that is sweet and subtle. It'll still grow with them, rather than if you went with a vivid Barbie pink, it might feel a little young and maybe they won't grow with it as much as a muted color would. So, yeah.
Perfect. And then I guess my last question I have is, what would be kind of your like last piece advice for someone choosing paint colors for their home?
Yeah, so it's definitely really overwhelming to choose paint. I've been doing it myself lately, and when you go up to the paint wall and you just see thousands of color options, yeah, it can be overwhelming to try and choose. If you're choosing from Adair's paint program, it's going to make it so much easier on you. You're not going to have to worry about any weird shades or undertones, so that definitely helps. I'm happy to help with any of our homeowners that are really having a hard time choosing. And I know your HOCs are also gonna be a great help in that. And then also just really go with your gut. What colors make you happy. Pay attention to that, and then get out of your comfort zone a little bit. With paint, it's something that, if you're doing accent walls in your home, like you can do something that you love for a few years and you can always change it. But yeah, get out of your comfort zone and stick with your gut on paint. That's what I would say.
Perfect. Let's see. I think we did have one question come in. It was just, do you build a medical lake? Which I do not know that off the top of my head. So I can look right after this and see if we do build there. But I think that was all the questions we have. If anyone else has any questions, you can ask them now. But if you are interested in learning more about our just building process or our process in general, you can schedule some time to talk with our team at www.adairhomes.com/schedule. Let's see, I can put it up on the screen too, make it easier. And then thank you for being with us here, Morgan, and thank you to all of our viewers. Very informative, so thank you. And then we will see you all next week for next week's Adair Live. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.